So let me go. I can actually change your name up there for you if you want me to. So what do you want me to write in there, Paula? What's your last name?
I think you've lost her.
Yeah, you muted yourself or something. You're muted, Paula.
New computer, and I don't know. Okay, I think it's working now, isn't it?
Well, I can see purple. What's your last name?
Johnson. Johnson. How's that working? How's that working?
All I see is your audio is on. Where's Paula?
Let's see if I can change a speaker.
Well,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. But you can't see me.
No, but if you can see me, then that's because so you can see.
I can see you, yes.
Okay, because then you'll be able to see the presentation. Where do you live? I mean, Paula.
I live in, well, I live at Vinland, which is between Lawrence and Baldwin City, Kansas.
Oh, so you're in Kansas.
I am. I belong to the Vinland FCE through the Douglas County Extension Unit.
Okay. Hello. Let's see. And you're in Kansas.
In Kansas,
Okay. Did you see I changed your name?
Yes, I see
you
that.
spelled Kansas wrong.
Oh,
Yes, you did.
Let's see. I got a big hurry.
Well, come on up here. You can come up and watch. Denny just walked in the room.
I'm gonna go here.
He's got to leave, but
All right, did I get it now?
Yeah, now it's
okay,
back.
yes.
Okay. Well, we can't see you, but I can hear you, and that's good.
Okay.
Well, welcome. Well, somebody must have sent you the.
It's got to be a way to get this on.
It says it's on. It's kind of a dark purple. What I'm seeing. Probably one of the settings inside of your computer.
I don't know because the red line is out on the video, but it doesn't show it doing anything.
Yeah.
Now it's back on. Let's see and try it again here. I've got integrated camera, AV stream media device, and same system. And I've got same system on.
Okay, and it's dark purple.
Now what does this one do?
Same thing.
And then this is integrated camera here.
Same thing. I'll tell you if there's a change.
Okay. Now that's all the buttons I have to push.
Okay.
Select camera.
There's nothing over your camera lenses there at the top of your screen. Are you on a laptop?
I have it. No, it's a desktop. I have a camera up here. Is this what you want? Does that do it? Yes, I can see myself.
Oh, there you go.
See, I told you it's brand new. I've had it 2 days. So,
with you.
this is my husband. This is Denny.
How are you?
Well, I'm Scott. I'm currently the Oregon FCE president. And Bonnie, if you turn her picture on, she's the treasurer for Oregon, but she's also the USA area, ACWW USA area president.
I get letters from her.
I'm glad you do.
I get to sleep with the president. Well, thanks for coming by.
Yes,
We're a
I'm
little,
hoping that several more of the ladies from my group will show up. I sent an email out to everyone, so we'll see.
good. Well, we started these in January. Bonnie did one on kind of a time, correct me, using your time wisely. What did you call
Oh.
Well, it wasn't time management. Time.
We did one last and by the way, we're looking like each one.
You keep breaking in and out.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I said we're looking for next month.
Seeing if that was better. I think I could hear you better.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you better now with that one on. Okay, you be careful. You guys have a good time. Good as you can have.
All right. We're looking. You got somebody in your group that you want to do it?
Do I have someone what?
Would be willing to do Zoom lesson?
Well, if no one else in my group shows up for this, I guess I will teach a lesson.
What would you like to do?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all that, I guess.
I said, what would you like to teach it?
What would I like to teach them?
Yeah.
I would like to teach them how to get started telling your story. I've tried several times. I've done some writing, but it's really hard to talk about yourself. It's much easier to write a story about someone else or a happening than it is to just talk about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about it today.
Okay. My younger brother bought me a journal for Christmas, and he put on the outside of it family stories. So he's wanting me to write family stories, and it's hard to know where to start.
Well, maybe I can do that today.
Okay. I don't like that.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Scott. How are you today?
Good. I'm a little nervous,
Are you?
maybe. So, Paula?
Yes. I keep, I can hear what you say at first, and then I miss out. I'm trying to.
Well, Bonnie said that it's.
There you go.
I said, who sent you the?
Who sent me the information?
Yeah.
I think I got it from, let's see, from Littner, Carol Littner. She's our leader.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
You're not? Well, you sent me
No,
this information.
No.
I'm Paula Johnson, and I'm the vice president of the Douglas County Council.
Yes.
So,
nice
and I got the information from you up here. It says so.
Yes, I did forward you that.
Yes.
glad you joined us.
I'm hoping a couple of the other ladies are going to. It's a little early yet, so
Yeah, usually Faye joins us and,
I sent out an email to my whole group. So
oh, nice.
everyone that has computer, we have a few ladies that don't have computers. So
Yes, we do too. And I can't get them to use their cell phones or their house phone to join Zoom.
no, 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 they're not going to do it.
COVID doing? Is it going down some?
What?
Is the COVID going down for you there in Kansas?
We are starting to get shots. Denny and I have both had our first one. We get our second one on the 17th. Most of our family has. I have a daughter that's a teacher and they don't have theirs yet. That kind of worries me, but guess that's the way it is. And she teaches in a very rural area. She teaches special ed, and they will probably be some of the last ones to do it. It's a long story, but anyway, she's very happy teaching there, but they have not been, they did remote teaching at the first, but they've been back in school since December. So
all the schools here in Atchison have been going since August. So.
Oh, well, okay.
And some kids, I mean, still do remote. They choose to do that. And I think at the beginning they did have maybe freshmen and juniors came 2 days a week and then they alternated. But after the first of the year, I think they're all back now. So.
Yeah.
But Atchison County's numbers are going down. So.
Well, I think Douglas County is too. So I think people finally decided it wasn't a hoax. But I'm old and I have underlying health issues and I haven't been out of the house much in the last year and a half. So
Yeah.
that's all right. I'm ready for summer though, when I can get back in the yard and play in the garden and mess with my flowers and get outside more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've read a lot though. A lot of good books.
Good morning, Linda.
Good morning.
Linda's from, why don't you introduce yourself, Linda?
Okay, I'm Linda Mae Poole. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I'm with a Clackamas County group.
And these two other ladies, Paula and Carol, are from Kansas.
Yeah, I sat in on the one about Irish history of Ireland. That was fun too.
What you doing, Sam? You need water? No, you got water.
Scott, did you all do our lesson together?
I didn't hear you.
Did you and Bonnie write this lesson together?
Actually, myself and a gal named Patty Malanathy wrote this together.
Nice.
And so we'll do it there a little bit. We kind of wrote it and checked it and everything.
Uh-huh.
And I'll bring it up, but this is available for anybody who wants a copy of it. It's actually on the Oregon FCU website.
What's that website?
It's Oregon-FCE.org. But I can email it to you too. If you send me an email, I can send you. I can just email it to you if you like, or the PDF version of the PowerPoint.
Okay, great.
Good. And I see Wanda's on.
Good morning.
Wanda's from Tennessee. And Marion Hannon from Arizona.
Great.
Morning, Marion. Marion, you're muted. You need to unmute so we can hear you. Probably
Okay.
down.
Now, is that
There
good?
you go. Yep.
How's everybody?
We're good.
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 Well, we're having a good day here in Oregon.
Having a what?
Beautiful spring day in Oregon.
Oh, good.
Morning, Bob.
Oh, Bob,
Good morning.
he saw you in the corner.
So Wanda, we have from Kansas with us today, Carol and Paula. And you know Marion from
Good morning, Mr. Scott.
Good Morning.
So Marion, how have you and Bob been doing?
Oh, we've had a few problems, but we're better. Bob fell and cracked his head open and injured his shoulder, but he's mending. And we've had our first COVID shot and the next one in another couple of weeks, so we're on the mend.
Good. That doesn't sound well.
No, that wasn't good. It's going to be 80 degrees here today.
Oh, wow. It's 60 something here.
Well, it's still good.
Yeah. Beats 30.
Yeah.
We might get up to 57.
Ooh.
Might. But the sunshine, that's what we can ask for.
Yes, that helps a lot to see the sun.
Yeah, it does. We certainly need the moisture though that we're not getting.
Uh-huh. Same here.
I think we caught up over the winter. We were very dry too.
We'd be
Where
glad
are
to
you,
share
Carol?
with you all we've had the last couple of 3 days.
Yeah.
Rain?
Lots
Our
of
daughter
rain.
that lives in
Oh,
Virginia said she would love to send us some of the rain, and they got snow too.
oh boy.
Well, our farmers are trying to get in the fields, so they really don't want rain right now. They're putting fertilizer out.
No,
So-
they don't need it now.
Not this minute. Give them a
Nope.
week or two, and then they'll be wanting it.
Yeah.
Carol, where are you from?
Me?
Atchison, Kansas, on the border of Missouri and Kansas. And I'm the Northeast Area Director. And Paula is one of our council presidents. What county are you in again, Paula?
I'm vice president of Douglas County.
Douglas County.
Yes, Margaret Fuston is our president, but she
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
have computer access.
Yes.
So I think they're slowly pushing me that direction.
I'm sure.
This is only my second year of being involved with the council, so I'm kind of going, wait, I'd like to learn a little bit first.
Yes, yes.
Lauren, we can see you trying to come on.
Sorry.
Hi.
Oh, I see Sheila Jackson.
Hi.
Sheila's from West Virginia, right?
Yes.
Great. Oh, there's several joins since I was on last. Marlene,
Hi.
Pat Kubo, and Penny West,
Hello.
Marja.
Hi. Oops, sorry.
Well, I'd like to say hi to everybody. Somebody's telling me it's 10 o'clock. I guess they want me to get started. So some of you can see, some of me I can't. But, anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you guys would like to mute yourself, it just helps on the. Let's see. Just helps. Anyway, so just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. Well, anyway, so I just wanted to start a little bit. I'm Scott Teeples, and I'm the Oregon FCE president. We started this in January, so this is our third one. And we're doing a lot of this because we can't meet in person. And so we are doing that here. So today we're going to talk about, I call it, it's all about me, writing your personal history. And I just want to talk a little bit before I go on. And anyway, explain a little bit why I got started. And I think all of us have had stories told by our family, you know, our grandparents or great grandparents, if we were fortunate enough to have those, and also our parents some stories, and the value that they are for us as the you know, just different stories that they told us and so forth. So we are on there, and I did a couple of things. One thing that I got, and I'm going to actually share my screen with you a little bit right here. I got a document that came up, and I'm going to let you guys just look at the little bit of it right here. This is something that this woman right here is my third great grandmother, and the document is about 20 pages long. And she took and she actually had an interview in 1937, as you can see. And I have read this many, many times, and it is so valuable to me. She was actually one of the Mormon pioneers that came across in one of the hand carts, and she talked about all of the different things that she had problems with and so forth. I was also greatly inspired by a man named Bob Warnick. And Bob Warnick was a member of our church, and I went to church with Bob, and he inspired me to do, he actually wrote a book called Remembering, and I'm going to show that right here. He actually wrote an autobiography of himself, which is an entire book, and it took about 10 years, and it was a lot of work, an awful lot of work. He actually came and did a presentation to our county council meeting that we had one time, and about the book and all the work that he did and so forth. And it was an awful lot of work, much more than what I really felt like I could do. And then he wrote another book, and I'm going to hold this up, and I hope I can get it up here where you can see it. He wrote this book here, and I got a copy of it, and it's called Remembering. And I can remember opening the book, and the very first thing I read, I opened it up and it said, my third grade teacher. And he has 3 paragraphs in there, and he talks about his third grade teacher. And anyway, it just really touched me that I could write something like that myself, that I could actually take and do it. So I started, and what I did is I took and I just got out, I opened up a Word document, and I started typing, and I started telling the little stories. And I think I've got about 40 pages now of different things that I'm writing about. And maybe they may not be great value for me, but they may be on there, you know, for, you know, my children, my grandchildren, and so forth. So, Kristen, I see you're not muted. Can you hear me okay? Okay. All right.
Oh,
So I'm going to go on. Go ahead. By the way, if anybody has any comments or questions, please feel free to jump in the middle of it here and ask me questions or comments or anything like that. With this many on, if we don't mute most of the time, though, we're going to get those dogs barking and door slamming and whatever else goes on there. I do have a leader's guide, and I'm going to see the leader's guide.
Paul, you recorded it.
Okay. Lauren, did you have a question? Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to go on. And I'm
No.
gonna okay. So I actually have a leader's guide.
I'm gonna have to mute it.
Let's see. If you guys- it's not here. So I have a leader's guide that is available, and I can email that to you, or it's also available on the Oregon FCE website. So if you guys are interested in that, right there. So I'm gonna move on here a little bit, and I'm actually gonna start the PowerPoint presentation. And like I said, if you got any questions or anything like that, then please unmute yourself and stop me. Okay. And by the way, if we're during the PowerPoint presentation, if you can, if there's a lot of pictures up there, if you go up and you just touch it with your cursor, and there's 4 little bars up there, and if you touch the one on the left, the only thing it'll do is show who is talking. So Bonnie, are people hearing me?
I can hear you. Can I give you my email address and have you send that to me?
Who am I talking to?
Paula.
Yeah, let's you have
I do that afterwards.
Yeah, why don't we do that afterwards, or you probably have my email on the email that you received on the information.
I do have. You're right. Okay.
I'll send it back to you. Okay, so I'm gonna get started here, and this is a presentation that Patty Malanafi and I wrote together, and we did it back in 2019. It's all about me writing your personal history. And I'm going to kind of skip through a little bit of it a little fast because it's kind of a long presentation, and please interrupt me if you have any questions or comments. So I want participants will gain an understanding of the importance of writing your personal history and why it's important to your family members, your friends and family members. You don't write this for yourself. Gain an understanding of the various styles of writing your personal history, and there's lots of different ways to do it, and you need to do what works best for you. You need to talk about the things to write about. And the thing I like about it is I write about myself, I write about my children, I write about my wife, I write about things that I know, because nobody knows yourself better than you do. So that's why I call it, it's all about me. And then I want to talk about where to find some information on writing your personal history. A personal history is a way of leaving a legacy for descendants or treasure for generations. And like I talked about that little document that I have of my 3rd great grandmother, Nicholas Gorley, is a treasure for me. I love reading it. I understand some of the things she had, the challenges she had in her life, and I've never met her, but it really brings it down to a personal thing. It's important to retain an accuracy of information when creating your personal history. So you need to try to keep it as real as you can. If you leave it to someone else to create it, he or she can only rely on their memories of you and secondhand stories that may not accurately reflect your life. So you need to write about yourself. So, why would you want to create a personal history? And you can ask yourself some questions. If your parents, grandparents, or other ancestors did not leave life histories, do you wish they would have? And I do. I did a really good job on actually videotaping some of my grandparents, but I neglected in not getting my own parents some of those stories. So I'm left now to write some of those right there. You wish that you could read about their lives. If so, it is likely your descendants feel the same way if you don't write your own record. A record of your life can be a great gift to those who come after you. Words and print can be read and reread, pondered over and returned to. The words your teenager rejects you now may become clear and precious when he or she rereads them later in life. And all of us have seen that with our children. Okay, you can have a great effect on those who follow you. For example, triumphs can strengthen and motivate others. Many times we find out that, things that we may have written may inspire someone. And then it talks about a famous biblical example is Job of the Old Testament, who suffered many trials. And we see that, his words were written and it was an example of devotion to people around the world thousands of years later. I'm going to kind of pause, and if you got comments or anything like that, please speak up. Writing your personal history can also provide you with an opportunity to evaluate your life. It may help you to clarify the direction in which of your life. Writing about your past, even if it's not a perfect life, can help you cope with the feelings and create an opportunity for you to find understanding and forgiveness, many times for our own selves. Okay, so I want you to do activity number 1. And I did email that out, and I don't know if anybody printed it out. So I'm going to take and I'm going to share that right now. So that's the work all about me. So I want you guys to start writing on there. Any comments on that one? Anybody got a piece of paper they can write on? How about it, Marion?
Yes. I filled out some of that already.
Okay. So we just start on some very simple things like, and I'm not going to take a lot of time right here, but you can write about what is your name? And there's a lot of things on there. It says when and where were you born? Who is your mother and your father? Who's your spouse? Who are some of your other family members? Your children, your brothers and sisters, or whatever it might be. Who are some of your best friends? Where did you grow up, and what did you do for a living? What would you like people to remember about you? And then I just put down a couple others down here. What would you like people to remember about you? And then what do you like most about life? So who can give me an example of some of the things that you would like people to remember you by? I can't see you, so you're going to have to.
Don,
Well, what would you like people to remember you by?
this is Linda May. One of the things I would probably put in there is how you spell and pronounce my name, because it was made up, and not even most of my family does not pronounce it correctly.
And Linda May, I'm still working on that in myself.
Oh, it's still spelled different.
It's
Yeah.
L-E-N, it's pronounced Len May, not Lynn. It's Len. Comes from the word Lendon, which was my mother's maiden name.
So there's an example of something you could sit down and just write about a little bit.
Correct.
That little thing. And is what I've done on mine is I just took and I got out a Word document. I started coming up with some ideas, and then I'd go write about them, and I'd write 2 or 3 paragraphs about that very thing. And I don't know if any of you have read any of those. The example I sent you about the milkman's son, but you write about funny things and good things and tragic things, and we'll talk about those.
I thought that was going to have a different ending, though.
Yeah. Anyway, now it's not Bonnie's favorite story. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here, and you can kind of work on that on your own, but that's just getting it started a little bit. Who am I? When should I create my personal history? There's no better time than now. And if you don't like working on a computer, you could get a notepad, you could get a binder, whatever it is that says, don't put off the writing until you believe you'll have more time, or until you retire. Our expectations on how much time we have do all we need and want to do do not usually match that what happens. And you know, with the COVID, lots of us have had actually an awful lot of time. In addition, you'll never know how long you may live. Do not procrastinate. Start today and let somebody know that you're writing these so that they'll be able to help pass that on down through your generations. No one else can write your personal history the way you can. The story is about your life and it should be written by you. However, the longer you wait to write it, the more details are likely to slip away and may be forgotten. When you're writing your story, set realistic and specific goals. For example, your goal could be to complete a first draft in 3 months. Mine's just an ongoing thing. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. A final draft could be ready to review in 6 months. By the end of 9 months, you could have a finished copy. Boy, that's an idealistic thing. The time allotted to write your history is subjective. It may be more reasonable for you to write a chapter a week or for the next years, or write about one subject per week or even a page a day. Do what you can, but do it regularly and consistently. I sit in my chair and I'll watch TV and I'll write a little bit. And at the top of it, I've actually got a whole bunch of different subjects. And so when my brain thinks, I just write that down and then I go and finish it up later on. Your history isn't limited to this subject. It may be easier to write about the different stages of your life, like preschool, grade school, high school, etc. Breaking up your history into segments like this makes the task easier to accomplish. There's two basic types, or what I came up with on writing your personal history. The choice is yours. I choose number 2. Number 1 is the hard way, a complete book of your life. And that's what Bob Warnick did. He spent 10 years writing his autobiography about himself, and it took him a lot of work. And he showed us boxes and boxes of files and pictures and folders and everything that he put together there. This method could be a complete book with all of your events that happened in your life. A lot of work. This could be a very difficult task to compile and write about everything that happened in your life. The method could take several months or often several years. For some of us, sitting down and completing a comprehensive personal history can be quite difficult. Notice I said finish and not begin, because it seems like we're all very good at beginning things, but the finishing that makes the difference. The better way, or what I call the easier way, and that was the book that Bob wrote, and it's called Remembering. That's the book I held up, and I can remember opening it up, and it's just right, just a little bit. Instead of starting out chronologically, stating your life events year by year, that is, try compiling stories by topic. If you write your history year by year, it may take forever to finish, and you'll probably be bothered thinking that you left something out. So I just write at random, just little stories that there. And even while I'm here, I've actually taken a couple of notes on a couple of things I need to write about. The problem with writing your history starting from when you were born until the present is that your history usually becomes more a list of things that happened in your life, with short sentences explaining important things. Those events probably merit more than just a paragraph or two, but when you're putting in together year by year, your history starts to get long and you feel content with simply listing what happened. Well, here's a way to write that personal history and finish it bit by bit. Believe it or not, you'll end up with a better history. And that's why I choose number 2, which is just the little remembering things. Better way or easy way, a remembering document. Use this method. You'll write short thoughts about little parts of your life. It will include the thoughts about many different events in your life, even though each thought might be a few sentences or even a few paragraphs. This method would normally be much easier than a complete life history book. You would only need to write about those memories you can remember. The thoughts could be placed in any order you feel best. And mine just kind of go in random. I mean, they just go whichever way you want to. There's different types of personal histories, and on the go ahead. Written biographies. Written biography is a great way to record personal histories for those who really enjoy writing. They can include any of the following: personal accounts or events in your life, photographs, and by the way, photographs are really important. Put in there family, friends, homes you grew up in, places you traveled, other experiences. Photographs are a good visual aid to supplement your history. Copies of family records such as birth and marriage certificates, school records, diplomas, religious certificates, awards, and other records of interest. What you decide to include is up to you, and any physical documents or images can help round out your words. Have any of you guys ever seen pictures that you don't know who they are, but you know they're family members?
Mhm.
Bonnie and I have an antique and collectible store, and we have pictures come in there all the time, old pictures, and Bonnie calls them ready-made families. And so they're somebody's family, and believe it or not, they sell very quickly. Journals. Anybody in here do journals? Okay, journals are an excellent way to preserve your history, where a personal history tends to be broader in scope and generally covers a greater period of time. A journal can preserve the day-to-day or week-to-week events of your life. A journal provides a more intimate and detailed account of your daily experiences. So some people actually write journals. They may be easier for some people to write. Journals have a more personal feeling to them. Usually it's because you're writing to yourself. They often contain insights, expressions, or emotion, the observations about events and how they affect you and those around you. They may also choose to include drawings or photographs within the journal. Journals are not only a good way for those after you to see your personnel, but it also is a medium for you to reflect on during your life to see how you've grown. And I know that Bonnie's done a journal at different times in her life. Narratives. Narratives are another way of personal history. This particular kind of narrative documents memorial events and are usually pretty brief. Many people find it useful to set aside a time each week to write about their narrative. For example, one woman spends an hour writing each Sunday afternoon while her young children take a nap. During each session, she writes 2 or 3 short narratives. And most of us don't have little children anymore, but we can usually find some time that we can write. These narratives can be long, later polished and compiled into a longer history. Records of milestones, and I've thought about this and kind of putting kind of a timeline of my life. Creating a record of milestones is similar to keeping a journal, except it tends to be added to less frequently. This is a record of important events like birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, etc. Scrapbooking. Anybody in here do scrapbooking?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and this is a popular form to preserve memories. And you know, I can still remember my mother doing scrapbooking, and she'd put our little pictures and little things I did in grade school and so forth in there. And those can be a great alternate or addition to written personal history. Scrapbooks focus on documenting special events, including photographs and other memorabilia. Scrapbooks tend not to be as comprehensive as written history, but they provide an excellent visual documentation. Scrapbook supplies and classes are often readily available. oral history. And I was really good about actually doing some video recording. So and then I get the video and that of both sets of my grandparents. It says an oral history preserves the voice of someone. It is a great alternate for those who do not feel they have the skills or desire to write. Those who struggle with writing may find it easier to sit down and talk about their lives. For many people, having someone record someone from their lives is a fun and touching experience. I sit down each of my grandparents, and I've got a 2-hour video on them, and I was showing those to my grandchildren, and I was sitting there and thinking they're actually watching and listening to their great grandparents. Electronic recordings, and you can do all kinds of, video recordings, electronic audio recordings. It's easier now than it ever has been. You can actually set up your own computer. If you're on Zoom now, you can actually set it up and do some recording on some things that you're doing there. They can include recordings of your voice or your singing or playing an instrument, among other visual and audio images. One thing I really liked about the video is that it actually brings out the personality of my grandparents, and my wife has seen this before, and how grandma just kept talking and grandpa would try to say something, and grandma would always say, I don't know why he never talks. I never ever know why he never ever says anything. I just, and somebody would like to say, Grandma, if you'd be quiet for a minute, he would say something. So you kind of see the personality. A thing to be aware of when deciding to record electronically is that it can deteriorate and become outdated. Computer disk, hardware, software programs can become outdated over time. And this process is becoming faster with technology changing. And that's something that the recordings I have are on VHS tape, and I need to get those changed over, and I'm well aware of that. You should review the medium of your recording on a regular basis, once a year at best. Tapes should be played back annually to prevent the sound from bleeding through the tape. Before it gets harder to find equipment to play or read, you have it recorded. It's a good idea to transfer your history to an updated medium. Online books, and this is something I did a lot of research on. You can actually do an online book where you actually go and you type it and it's online. And then also,
Todd, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I hear commercials for this company where you can send them all your photographs, recordings, old tapes, and they combine it into one source of electronic visibility. And I don't know if you can choose if you want it put on a CD but like you say, everything eventually is going to be replaced. But I was just curious if anybody's used that company to have them condense everything into one. I think it's called the memory box.
Yeah, there's different companies out there that are willing to do that. And I know that Costco used to do it. I know we've got a couple places in town that will do it, and they will put them on CDs, but believe it or not, CDs and DVDs are almost kind of sliding out now. So they want to put it on a digital media, and it's much easier to pass it down if it's in, on a flash drive or something. But flash drives can get lost, so you need to make sure you back them up. Any other comments, questions? You really do need to.
I was going to say that I just bought this new computer and I had to buy a special because I have pictures on CDs and I didn't want to lose them when there are trips, and I had to buy this special thing that you plug in to the computer to use your CDs. So CDs are obsolete.
They are. They're getting more. The laptop that I'm on right now has one, but I've got a newer laptop and it does not have a CD drive, and I have to buy, just like you, an external CD player. So anyway, get them changed over there a little bit. Okay, Before you begin to write, after considering your options, decide what method you'd like to use to record your history. Whether you are going to write, videotape, or photo, or scrapbook, just consider what it is. Mine, I chose to just use a Word document, and I just write. I just make little segments, and I write little stories, including the milkman's son. Gather everything you can to find about your life, and just try to remember the little things. And I just kind of brainstorm. That's what I call it. Organize your items per type of history you plan on creating, and you might have just a little notebook or something, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Some people like to carry note cards, and you can write those and you record a little bit, or at least write a little teeny line down there on what you want to do and so forth. Often memories can come up at inconvenient times. Note cards or any kind of thing you write on provide an easy way to record them. And don't write the whole thing, just write down at least enough to get started. Elaborating on some of your memories as you have the time. Add more details that you may have written on your note cards. Talking into an audio or video recording device can record some things. And if you have a smartphone, you can actually write a few notes in there. And many of you don't know, but if you have a smartphone, it actually has a recorder on it. And so you can actually write some little things or record some little things there on your recordings, at least some ideas that you might want to write about. Asking relatives and friends to share memories and stories that they have of you. These recollections are extremely valuable. Others often remember events that happened when you were too young to remember them. Unfortunately, for most of us, our parents are either not with us any longer, or they may not remember anymore some of those stories when we were little. But do what you can do to remember them. And you may have some friends, and sometimes they remember the stories a little different than what we did. For many, starting to write a personal history can seem overwhelming. And I can't remember, I think it might have been Carol or one of you that came on early, you said it just seems like it's overwhelming, but it's really not. You just need to start. Many people feel they haven't done anything, any great events in their life, and that anybody want to hear about. And my third great grandmother, and this Nicholas Gordy, she wasn't a great person, but I really shared her feelings. She was in one of the hand cart companies that got stuck in Wyoming. And I remember there's a part in there where she says, and it just touches me every time. She said, we hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. And us girls were at the willows, and we were scraping the bark off the willows and eating it because we hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. And we can remember the rescuers as they came and how we thought they were angels. And that really touches me just to feel that. And Nicholas was not a great person, but she was in my eyes. And she left those words for me to remember. So if you don't feel like you're important, you are, especially for those that are to come in your ancestries. Everyone has something they can share. Many might say, I'm not famous. I don't have anything that'd be newsworthy, but I have stories, and so it begins. Often favorite family stories are great start-off points for compiling a personal history, and I write a lot about family stories. I mean, I've written about cow pie sandwiches, which you would have to read about. Sometimes the beginning starts with simply thinking of a story or event from an individual's life, and that's where I write most of mine. Don't think of the whole finished product. As you write, ideas will come, and they just come, and I just write them down. I just write down little ideas. Like I said, I've already written down a couple ideas today. In recording a personal history, it's important to write as if you were talking to someone. By doing so, readers will feel more connected with the story and in turn, their family. In an effort to keep things organized, think of using such things as using a box or a file folder that holds cards. If you're that kind of person that feels like that's what you need to do. Myself, I don't use a lot of these, but I'm always writing little ideas on pieces of paper and then putting them into my computer and then starting to write on them a little bit. You can use different titles on them: a loose leaf binder, a notebook, an app on a phone, tablet. Allows individuals to record notes, but just kind of get started and put it together. Photographs can be saved along with titles to accompany the history. And again, I want to talk about photos. Please identify the people that are in them. You may know them, but your future people that may read your history may not know who they were.
Okay, I would like to make a point on the photos.
Okay.
Yes, I have tubs of albums that were given to me by relatives. We have a big family reunion, or had a family reunion, and they are somewhere my family tree. But when I take them out, these are old, 100-year-old albums.
Mhm.
They don't have names on the backside. Okay, so now for us, 20, 30 years ago, we did print out our pictures and put them in boxes, and oh yes, we'll make them in scrapbooks. Never identified. But what writing utensil is best to use on the back of printed pictures that will not imprint to the picture side and will archive for years to come?
That's your Faye, right?
Yes.
I didn't look up to see who was talking. It just sounded. Faye, I can't answer that. I don't know, but I know that there can be real problems because sometimes my mother wrote with pencil and it's faded so bad. I've seen where ink and it bleeds into the picture on the other side.
Excuse me. Actually, I have taken a class on that at an FCE lesson. It was, and the lady told us that you can go into a Hobby Lobby or Michael's or somewhere like that, and they make pencils. You do not want to use an ink pen or a ballpoint pen. They make pencils to write on the back of photos with. You'd have to tell them what you wanted for.
Okay, and Paula.
Did you get that?
Yes. And Paula,
It was an FCE meeting. The lady explained to us that you go into Michael's or Hobby Lobby, somewhere like that.
okay.
Can you hear me? And they make special pencils. Never use a ballpoint pen or an ink pen on a photo, but they make special pencils to write on the back of your photos that won't fade. And then they also suggest, of course, that you laminate them or put them in something that'll hold that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I mean, you can check your FCE because that's where I saw the lesson was an FCE lesson. So, but it's been years ago that I took it, so I don't remember everything that she told me. So,
Okay.
This is Faye Spencer, Kansas. That was written by Becky Wandra for an FCE lesson. Another source would be to go to a local museum that archives historical items. They would help with the preservation of our precious treasures.
Okay. And I will tell you one way you can on Family Search, which is a free website. It's an awful lot like Ancestry.com. You can actually, and it's a free one. Ancestry.com is not free, but Family Search is one that's put out by the LDS Church. And you can actually upload documents, pictures, and everything that will be preserved there. And you can actually put the names right there underneath them. So there's all kinds of ways you can actually scan them in there. And Bonnie and I got about a year ago, we got enthused and scanned all those boxes of pictures. I spent 2 or 3 days scanning and putting names and everything like that. And the names is what takes an awful lot of time, is putting the names by them. So there's different ways of preserving those. And thank you very much for your input. Okay, recognizing there is not one way to divide things up. Sections based on their age, time frame. You guys just need to work it out. Okay, by putting things in chronological order, individuals are able to keep things organized in a logical, systematic way. Unfortunately, I don't write that way. I just kind of take off different ways. I'm trying to put my, I actually copy and paste or cut and paste and move things around so it does get into a chronological area on my writings. But you could include things like birth, elementary, school years, middle schools. And don't be afraid to write also, and since we're all in FCE, write about your FCE careers and some of the things you've done and some of the lessons you may have taught or some of the events you could do. So you can write about those. Good writing starts with a plan or an outline. After individuals have ideas of a few stories they want to tell, they can look at one of the titles they have saved and start writing from there. And that's what I do, is I write little titles. And so at one time, that Milkman's Son, I just wrote that there. And then I went in and I moved it down and wrote some different things there. Sometimes photographs can spark an idea, as well as thinking of important dates and events. It is important to take it a piece at a time. So you can just take and write about a photograph. And that's something I have not done yet, but I need to put some photographs in of some things. I've written about Bonnie and I's first date. I've written about our wedding day. I've written about lots of different things, and they may not mean much to us at the time, but maybe in the future, some of my children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren may. And I think that's what we need to remember for all of us. But what do I write about? Everyday things, moments or special events, fun times, learning moments. Write about the fun things in your life. It is important to remember who will be reading the history you write. It is for your family. Important family things should be included. If it is a public record, it is important to be wise in choosing what will be included in the history. As ideas come, jot them down. Consider the setting and where the story took place. Use interesting, descriptive, sensitive words. Using an interesting, descriptive, sensitive words brings the readers into the story and helps them make a connection. Important to an individual's family history are the friends, family, co-workers, or others of whom they had relationships. As authors compile their stories and photos, they will be able to piece together a personal history. Find a trusted partner who is willing to read that you have written before distributing the personal history. Sometimes it is difficult for the author to see spelling or grammatical errors. Bonnie and I do this an awful lot, and someone with an outside view can give suggestions. Then as the author shares the stories with others, it'll be more readable. Family history is an important work that helps not only the person creating his or her own story, but also his or her family and generations to come. What should it write? What should your family history contain? And by the way, I sent you some handouts. If you got that, if you didn't get those, I can send those to you. It says a few ideas on things containing your personal history could include: what is your name? Where did it come from? What does it mean? And Linda May talked a little bit. Linda May explained a little bit about her name, and so she could write about that. And why is it spelled the way it is? Just like she explained it to us. When and where were you born? Write about your mom and your dad. Sometimes there's not much of a history on them. What about your siblings? Where did you grow up? What do you remember from that place? I've written a little bit about that. I live in Oregon now. I didn't grow up in Oregon. And then you see handout 3 for a complete list, and handout number 3 has got at least probably 100 different things that you could write about. List the major events along with the dates in your life. This is called a timeline, and will get more detail as you recall more events. Something like that there. I hope I don't write down passed away at whatever it is.
Scott,
Yes.
this is Marion.
Yes.
I listening to all this, and then I realized that I have since 1960, I have written a Christmas letter telling what some of the things we did in throughout the year, and with pictures and everything. That's going to be a resource that I'm going to start with, because that goes through the last, what, 60 years. And it's just one time of the year, but it can help me think of other memories, I'm sure. So that's going to be a good resource.
Well, and you could even put those into a binder or something, you know.
I have them in a binder. So
Well, that's history right in there in itself.
it is, yeah.
That's an excellent one. Okay, then the story information as you gather it, making a filing system. And, you know, it's like, just like Marion right there, you know, you can put things together. You know, sometimes we don't think we write history, but we do. And I thought that was kind of neat. You know, write those family Christmas letters that you write, and that is history in itself right there. So you can take and you can come up with different things. You might also want to use some geographical divisions in your filing system, you know, like, you know, where different places you've lived, and very few of us have grown up and lived in the same place. Bonnie and I haven't been real movers, but you can write about different things, you know, such as your work experiences. There is a simple way to begin keeping your records. If you don't know where to start with yourself. If you don't know what records to get and how to get them, start with what you've got. Just write about yourself. That's why I entitled this, It's All About Me. We can begin by gathering such materials as birth certificates, certificates of blessings, baptisms, ordinations, graduation diplomas, awards, photographs, and so on. Retain any written, registered, or recorded data. A written record is not just the only way to keep information. Family and personal histories can be recorded. We talked about that. Then to start, you might obtain a notebook and today write something of the things you outlined in this lesson. And I've already given you the assignment, and we wrote about your name and where you grew up and who your parents were and so forth. And if you wrote those and then you've started, if you have a personal computer, you could enter and store the information there. Date the entries and number the pages. Include full names of people and places. Success comes from organizing your time. So set aside a regular time to write. To start, you might obtain a notebook, or today write some things outlined in the lesson. I went backwards on this. Okay, do not be too critical of your writing skills. In the beginning, it is more important to get the information, stories, feelings, and events recorded first. Later, you can polish what you've written. These suggestions may help you begin your family history. Begin with your narrative of an exciting point in your life. You do not have to begin with listing the date of your birth. I've tried that a few times. I started there and I just got burned out, I guess. Get your readers interested first, and then they will enjoy learning the facts later. Do not worry about style, grammar, punctuation, or other composition technicalities at the beginning. Write however feels most comfortable to you. So just basically start writing. Be visual with your words. Include background information about the location of the local history of the time and the memory of or the event took place. So you can describe all those other things. Do not let your writing become just a list of dates and places. I call it putting some color into it, put some feeling into it. Be willing to laugh at yourself. Let your personality and humor shine through your writing. Don't be afraid to write about your weaknesses as well as your strengths. If you feel comfortable about writing about your mistakes you've made, elaborate on what you've learned from them and what consequences followed. And that's kind of a personal thing, and you need to evaluate that because some other people are going to be reading it. Always be truthful and honest about your life. If something is too uncomfortable to share, just exclude it and move on. Be wary of extremely sensitive issues, especially if other people were involved. It's important to be careful about liberating or embarrassing others. Libeling. Remember, your story doesn't have to be told in chronological order. Digress wherever you feel you like. These digressions may just be the most interesting parts of your life. So I would just warn you, if you're not comfortable about writing about it, don't write about it. Many of us have made some mistakes in our lives that we would really just not let anybody, like everybody, to know. And then add whatever finishing touches are most helpful. Pictures, title page, introduction, appendixes at the end is written. Other voices such as everyday sounds, if it's recorded on an audio device. Now I'm not gonna spend too much time on the distributing of it. Bob Warnick talked an awful lot about the process of writing, actually getting your book printed and stuff like that. I personally am not planning on having a book printed. I will probably leave it in digital format where it could be passed on there. I mean, I could actually print it out. If I print it right now, it'd be about 40 pages, but you can actually check around and look for a book. I know that there's lots of different places. If you go on the internet and look at those, that you can find some places that you can take and get some books done. They're not cheap though. Anybody ever done anything on printing books or anything like that? Okay.
No, I've never done it, but there is a young couple in Baldwin that have set up a business to print local books for people, but I have no idea. I've never investigated it.
Yeah.
But it's in Baldwin, Kansas.
Yeah. Well, Bob Warnick told me that I know that when he did his, they were like $30 a book, just to have them printed. And I'm sure that probably depends on the quantity that you have printed. I know that when he did his autobiography, he had 100 of them copied and I think they were about $30. A lot of money for 100 books. But he wanted to make sure that each of his family members had one. I did not have one of those. His remembering book was a little less money. I offered him to pay for it, the one that he gave me, and he did not. And Bob actually has passed. So anyway, his stories are even more valuable to me now. And even though I'm not part of his family, I loved Bob Warnick, and I just love reading his stories about some of the things in his life. He was a wonderful man. So you can do some different things on distributing it. Review and evaluate what you've written. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this right here, but writing a first draft is only a beginning. So some of your best writing will happen as you review and revise. I actually go through and I reread my stuff, and since it's on a Word document, I can just revise it a little bit as I have other memories or things that I may have left out or things I may need to change. So you can do some things on that. Very easy to do. Get a trusted friend, a colleague, spouse, or a family member to do the same. You know, point out mistakes, things that are incomplete, things you may have skipped over, and so forth. Does the reader feel involved and care about the outcome of the stories? Those are some of the things you look at. Is your writing organized? Do the stories flow well? Do you have good sentence structure? And you got to remember, though, that you need to write it the way you write. I had a college professor, even when I was doing my master's degree, that wrote comments. I love the way you write because you write like you speak. And it doesn't sound like some overly educated person that's writing it. And I appreciated his comments on that. Do some of the stories need to be shortened or lengthened to make them more enjoyable? Are there spelling or other grammatical errors? Something that I like about my new Word document thing is I can get it to read to me. And when I have it when it's read to me, I'm going, oh, I missed that. Bonnie knows there's some things that I do. You and your, lots of times I forget to put the R on the end of your, but I just read it in there. So just review. Do you use repetitive phrases or words often? Are names, dates, and other details accurate? Have you used the proper tense throughout the entire history? After the review, you need to decide the input and feedback. So sometimes you just get a reviewer to express some of the concerns they may have. They might say the story's too long, too short, whatever it might be. Keep in mind that the reviewer makes a comment on your universal issue, for instance, using the proper tense of the same phrase within a certain area. It may apply to other areas. And I have a tendency to do some things there, and I'm sure all of you do. Now is the time for you to decide where to insert photographs, letters, certificates, or other physical or visual documents. And so many of these things now can be scanned and easily put into your documents that you're on there. Decide how you want your finished history to look. I'm concerned more about the fact that I have the information in there. Play around your layout. If any of you guys have done anything in Word or any of the publisher or anything like that, you can do lots of different things with it. Decide how you want your history to work. Some of you want to be real formal. Mine is not formal at all. I don't have a color page, a title page, a preface, or anything like that. So those are some of the things you might want to look at. Appendixes. I'm trying to leave a little time if somebody's got some comments. Writing challenges. If the writing process isn't going well, ask yourself why. Maybe you're writing about a subject you feel should be included but doesn't excite you. Think about whether it is really important or if you can just skip over it, even if it's just for the moment. Realize that hard work is often necessary for inspiration. Self-discipline to write when you don't feel up to it may be work, but taking a few days break can also help. Sometimes the hardest part of writing is starting. Is there anybody that started writing their personal history?
Yes.
That's Marion.
Many times.
Yes.
When you ask about books, I have books all over the house filled with little thises and that's.
Yep. Well, we all do that. And I go in, I'll write a lot at times, and then I don't write for a long time. But I enjoy doing it. That's why I write down those little ideas and I put them in there as soon as I can so I don't forget. Another way to start is the easiest part of your life or to begin with a topic you really want to write about. And I like to write about the funny things in our life. Bonnie and I, we have 6 children and we've got a lot of stories to tell. And I'm writing down a lot of them. And just keep it simple. Just make it easy for you, whatever you do. Don't make it too hard.
I loved your stories. And then I thought they were things that you had done with those 6 things until I realized, no, it's just Scott's stories.
Yeah, well, yeah, Marlene, you know me though, so you know my stories. So keeping records has always been important to all people. As we learn how and begin a record of our personal and family histories, we can feel an increased respect and love for family members. As we write in our personal journals, we can record the important events of our lives that may have a positive influence on our children. And I'll even include grandchildren or great grandchildren. A simple family record can influence our descendants or generations to come. So I did send those out. If you did not get those, the handout 1 was the one that we kind of went through there. Handout 2 is resources of information. Handout 3 was personal history prompts on what to write about, and it gives you lots and lots of ideas. And then handout number 4, which I emailed out, was on expert tips, a little bit about on writing and so forth. And then the last one there is writing samples. And if anybody didn't get that, then I wrote that there. Was there anybody that did not get this?
I don't think I'm pretty sure I didn't get it.
Well, then I'm going to read you a little bit about what I wrote. The milkman's son and the other children. And this is part of my personal ancestry that I'm writing here. Of course, I like to write about humor things. When my son Michael was a freshman in high school at Mazama, which is the high school where I taught, he had an assignment in his Spanish class to do a large poster of his family tree, including his parents and his other siblings. He was to place a picture of Bonnie and I near the top and each of the children in a horizontal row below them. Below each picture, he was to write something in Spanish about each person. So it was for a Spanish class. We helped him find and print some 5x7 pictures, which he mounted on a large sheet of poster paper. Below each picture, he wrote in Spanish the things he was supposed to write. He took it to school and turned it into his teacher. Sometime later, Michael was in my classroom in Mazama waiting for a ride home with me. He had the poster board with his family tree assignment. He had rolled it up and put it in the garbage can. I asked Michael why he was throwing it away. And by the way, I still have this and out in my shop up on the wall. I asked Michael why he was throwing it away, and he said he didn't want it anymore. I told him I would keep it. I mounted it on the wall above my chalkboard so that my students could see it because I was proud of my family. For years after that, I had students and adults come into my classroom and ask me about the pictures of my wife and my family. I told them who each of them was, and I told them that I didn't know what was written in the Spanish. Every once in a while, which was often, I would tell a little fib about our children. After telling them that it was me and the woman next to me was my wife, I would tell them the names of the children. And then I would tell them a story or a fib about who the father of each was. I told them that Ron's father was the milkman. Carrie's father was the mailman. Patty's father was the power meter reader. Robin's father was the cable guy. Matt's father was the water meter reader, and Mike's father was the paper boy. Most people would just look at me and know that I was teasing about their fathers because my children all look too much like me. But often, and usually a trusting and naive freshman girl would say to me something like, "Mr. Teeples, that is so terrible that your wife could do that to you." I would always laugh and then tell the truth. So anyway, so that's just kind of the things that I like to tell about. And I've written lots of stories about my parents. I've written about some other things and so forth. Any questions or comments?
Scott, this is Marion. I've got a 12:30 appointment, so I'm going to have to go, but thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this, and it's really I think it's going to help me get started and start getting things put together. So thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciated it because my daughter said something to me the other day that she had an opinion about something in my life that was not right. And of course, she thinks she's right all the time, but I lived it, so I ought to know. But I got to straighten her out.
Yeah. All right. Oh, is Pat still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I got your email.
My email.
Yeah, I got that right there. I think I already have it, but I'll get you that. I'll send you those.
Well,
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right.
If we didn't get the handouts,
All right. And by the way, we're looking for somebody to teach next month. Any volunteers? You can't all do it. We can only have one person. So, Kristen, I see you smiling there.
What is it? What's the title?
What do you want to teach? What would you like to teach?
This isn't working.
And Wanda, I did go on there and try to use some of that video on here, and I'm having a hard time getting the audio from the lesson on the women's suffrage.
Scotty, if you would get a hold of Emily, I bet she would record it for you. She's given that talk out in the community and other places besides just that one place. So she always is in costume and answers questions. So I'm sure she would be glad to do that for you, just getting a hold of her.
I did get a hold of her, and she wanted me to just use the one on the recording there. And Bonnie and I were working on it this morning, and it worked on the audio. The visual was there, but the audio was really, really poor coming through Zoom. So I don't know. I'll work on that though. Well, I appreciate all of you coming.
I will get a hold of Shelley and see if she knows of anything that would make it better. I'm sorry, you know me, I'm not the greatest computer person alive, but it was a great presentation, and you were looking for things, and I thought that would be great.
Well, I think it is a great presentation. I've actually watched it, but I just can't get that dang audio to go through Zoom really good. Bonnie and I were messing with it this morning. So, any ideas for anything for next month? I know Barbara.
I have to go too. Good seeing everybody, and I'll watch for information about next time.
Okay, I'll send it out. By the way, I'm recording it, and I'm going to send the recording out.
Great. It was a wonderful presentation. I enjoyed it.
Bye.
I have to go too, but I will send you an email because I would really like to have this presentation to give to our group at Douglas County.
Okay. And if I
Thank
can't,
you.
I can't email you the PowerPoint, I'll send you the link, and then you can
Okay.
get it off of my OneDrive.
That'll work. Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Scott, thank you very much for the presentation. My daughter has given me a book, A Journal of Faith and Love, Mother's Memories to Her Child. She's been wanting me to do that for years, so maybe I will now be motivated.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Scott, this is Pat. Thank you so much for letting me join your group. I really learned a lot, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. It's my privilege. Barbara's got one. She's going to teach on gaslighting, but she can't do it this next month. Barbara Leno, she's down there she's on the screen here. So she's waving. She's got a really good one on gaslighting. If you don't know anything about gaslighting, you maybe ought to look it up. Thank you, Penny. And let's see, I got to figure out who that is. Shelley. Is that Shelley
Jackson?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got your initials. And I think Marion left her camera on. We'll turn her off here in a minute. And thank you, Marlene and Penny and Barbara and Bonnie.
Thank you. Good to see you gals in West Virginia. I haven't seen you for a long time.
I know.
You know, we've learned a lot in the pandemic, lots of bad things, but we've also, whoever thought we'd be doing this a year ago? Who'd ever think?
Hey.
Hi. What's your name? Or what's his
Tell
name?
him what your name is. Eli.
Eli. Hi, I'm Scott. I'm in
Tell him
Oregon.
what your middle name is. Scott.
Scott, what a great middle name. All right. Well, Eli, where do you live? What city? You live in Kansas.
Tennessee.
What's that? Oh, no, you live in
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah, that's right. I know Penny's in Tennessee. Thank you guys are all coming. You can leave whatever you want, or you can just chat if you'd like.
Thank y'all so very much.
All right.
It was good to see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
My plans may have changed for next month, so I'll get with you about the gaslighting lesson
Okay.
and see if we can't make that happen.
Okay. Just let me know as soon as you can. And I mean, it's a month away.
All right.
It'll be that first Wednesday, 10 o'clock. And if you, I can show you how to do the PowerPoint if you want to.
Okay.
Or
I'll come over there and we can do it together.
That's fine, whatever you'd like to do. But well, we don't want two computers sitting next to each other. You get too much feedback. But you know, you can do it whatever. Or the thing is,
we can squeeze into the frame.
Yeah, well, we can also. Are you on a laptop?
We're actually right now I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. Well, you'd have to be on a computer, and you'd have to have the PowerPoint in there, and then what I have to do is I have to allow you to share your screen.
Okay.
Just like
okay.
Cynthia, when we did the one on Ireland, I had
right.
to allow Cynthia.
Gave her control.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's easy to do. It's just
yeah. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Perfect.
But great lesson today. Thank you so much.
Okay. How about you're going to Colorado? Are you going to be able to make the board meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be there.
If you can just do whatever report you can. And Barbara,
yep.
I know it's going to be short. It doesn't need to
yeah.
be. There isn't an awful lot to write about.
I know.
I've been working on.
I'll write about something.
I've been working on the agenda, and we look good for all of our classes except the one that was on the time management with the animal out. So we'll have to. And you said something about you might be willing to do that.
What did I say I do?
It's already written.
Which one?
Time management.
Oh, time management. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still interested in doing that?
Yeah, it depends on when.
Well, it's for the state. It's for October.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Yeah, at the state conference.
Yep.
It's already written. So you could just take it, and I don't think there's a PowerPoint, but if you wanted some help doing one, that's fine. If you don't want to do a PowerPoint, that's fine too.
Okay.
Just, we'll figure that out.
Okay. Yeah, we'll chat.
I talked to them down in Arizona. They're still interested in coming up and teaching the class. Margaret and Martha. And
where at in Arizona are they?
They're down. One of them's in Yuma, and one of them is in. They live down there by Marion, who was on just today. Tucson.
Oh, Tucson area. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Awesome.
But Martha is from Texas. So.
And we had quite a few from different areas today.
Yeah, we did. We really did.
That's awesome.
I just send out the emails and said, give them to your friends or whatever it is. And
right.
And so there was 3 from Kansas and 2 from Tennessee, West Virginia.
Wasn't Hawaii on?
Hawaii. So.
That's pretty awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah, 2 from West Virginia. That's the thing about Zoom is it can be across the street or it can be anywhere in the world.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, kiddo. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right, we'll see you.
Okay, take care.
Yep, bye.